We just wrapped up, as some of you know, our fiscal year for fiscal year 20. We started fiscal year 21 in September. We're not in October, but we gave this presentation to the full council. Hopefully, it's pretty informative to you all. Of course, we're part of our strategic plan. Everything's guided. Everything that we do on the budget side, and whether it's capital or operations and the budget that the city council approves, is really based on our strategic plan, and capital improvement department specifically is within goals 4 and 7 when we're talking about quality of life and sustaining our infrastructure for the city. With just a little bit of history, I think there's a lot of really good information that we've been putting together for council over the past 5 years since we adopted the strategic plan. More importantly here over the last 3 years, as we work really closely with Representative Morgan, as well as the city manager in his office, and making sure that we address our capital program. As you know, back in the early 2012, 2015, when the quality of life bond program was approved, we didn't have a whole lot of progress being made on those programs. The street program as well on that side, which is not being accomplished in a way that was effective or efficient. It's 3 years ago. Very proud. When I started working at CID as a city engineer, we really started to take a different approach on how do we execute the capital program. We looked at setting a culture of continuous improvement, being accountable to the residents, like this meeting, to the reps, to the city council, to the community, and really pushing projects out the door and making sure that we follow timelines, and as we execute them, that we're able to get that done in a way that meets the commitments that we make to the community. We've had greater council oversight over the CIP in ensuring that we fund community priorities. Things like the water park that we completed there at Cohen, that was an initiative that was brought on by the current council, Representative Morgan. Now it's done and complete. Unfortunately, we can't open it to the public yet, but hopefully next summer, you'll all be really enjoying this water park that's really turned out to be really amazing. We've done a lot of work on updating scopes and estimates of projects, and making sure that we have good models in place. We've had a lot of community meetings in the beginning. Projects like the Veterans Rec Center remodeling, those kinds of things, where we had a very consistent message to the community about making sure that we scope out projects that we can afford within the approved budgets that have been approved by city council and through the programs. So, things like, if whether it's the community or Parks and Recreation, the user departments start adding more stuff to the scopes, we try to, make sure that we hold the line and making sure that we keep the scope to what the budget has been approved, understanding that there's the continuous need as we move forward into future projects. That really allows us to keep the schedules that we commit to or that we publish. And that's really important because, a lot of the times, and especially when I started, there was a lot of projects that were kind of stuck in the mud, if you will, where scopes had been increased and the budget was just not there. The expectations from the community was that we were going to do, A through Z when we can only afford A through T, as an example. And so that makes it really hard for us to deliver those projects because, again, you're just waiting for money that's not going to be there as you move forward. In addition to that, we've been really working and really harping on what the city manager has embarked the city on, this Baldrige framework, which really talks about continuous improvement, having processes and procedures such as the Lean Six Sigma, which really allows us to analyze the way we do things, create efficiencies, get things faster, better. And a lot of it has to do with the training that we provide our staff. So we've been able to do that. And then the work that you'll see that we've been able to do over the past 3 years is really a reflection of this type of environment that we currently work in, that's been really supported by the city council and embraced by them, if you will, to where we're allowed to do and modify policies, procedures that allow us to deliver better results for the community. And when you look at a project, a simple project like a remodel of the Veterans Recreation Center or even the water park, there's a lot of folks that are involved through the process. The project managers who work at capital improvement, that's the team leader that really helps lead the project and the process and the project through the process. But we looked at everything from the way we do things, how we bid projects out. We've been working really closely with our vendors, our architects, engineers, contractors, really working closely, having meetings with them. We now have a vendor performance program that's been instituted by the purchasing department that allows us to really rate and grade the work that we get from the various vendors. And it allows us to really have really good discussions about the quality of the work and how they can do things better in the future and what we can do better on our side, meaning specking out contracts that are more clear, that allows them to do better work for us. So it's been a really good dialogue over the past 3 years that we really have a really good working relationship with those vendors. And again, ultimately it turns into better results for the community. Our staff at CID with the planning, the finance, contract compliance folks, we work very closely with the contractors. We have through the city council adopts labor wages for construction as an example. So we have staff that's dedicated to make sure that contractors that work on city projects pay the electricians the minimum wage that's outlined in the contract. And it's a lot of work that's done by our support staff at CID. And of course, the external side as well, right? So when you think of the recreation center, there are multiple departments that are involved in this project. Like Parks and Recreation is the user department, what we call the user department, that's going to run the facility at the end. But then we also have Streets and Maintenance on the facility side because they're the ones that maintain it as well. So they have a lot of say into what goes into a contract to spec out materials that are sustainable, low maintenance, that really become a very cost-effective facility to maintain in the long run as well. We work closely with utility companies, especially on the street projects. That's really important to make sure that we coordinate very closely with them so they don't come back and tear up a road that we just completed. There's a lot of coordination that happens in the background. We have monthly meetings with them where we work very closely with them on that side. Of course, the administration side with the city manager, city council, really supporting the efforts that we push through. A lot of times we end up with scenarios where we need to make modifications to the programs, and we take those forward and they get supported very well because the data and the facts are behind what we're trying to do and what we're trying to get accomplished for the city. Our service departments such as purchasing, OMB, city attorney, they've all really fallen in line to allow us to really improve the process, and of course the public. I think the meetings that we've had, like this one today, or project-specific meetings, really allow us to share with the community the work that we're doing. When I started attending a lot of public meetings for projects, and there's a lot of really good dialogue. When we started meeting on the Joy Barraza Park as an example, through the design process, that's around the time that I started as a city engineer, and we talked about those things like cameras, the security issues that we have in that park, all that stuff that really look, if we can address it through the physical elements, it's a great opportunity for us to do that as we move forward. What we ended up accomplishing here this past year, and we kind of lumped it into 3-year cycles. So from 2015 to 2017, we contracted $152 million. That's about $50 million a year. Over the past 3 years, since 2018, 19, and 20, we contracted $471 million of contracts for the community. That's an increase of $317 million from a 3-year period compared to the previous one. And it's really important, because when you look at the amount of staff that Capital Improvement Department had back in 2015 and 2017, it's really the same amount, relatively the same amount that we have right now. So it's pretty remarkable. I'm really proud of the team and, of course, everybody that's involved, including the reps office, because they work very closely with them to make sure that we manage expectations on a lot of our projects. That's really allowed us to really have these kind of results and produce these kind of investment into our community. The jobs that we create as well, it's really important to note that, while we're addressing the community priorities and addressing our infrastructure, we're a big part of the local economy as well. So the expenditures that we had this past year was $137 million. That's what was spent out from the capital side. Approximately half of that is spent on labor costs. That means that salaries for contractors, consultants, security guards that work on projects, everybody, we're able to put $68.7 million into salaries for various contractors and community members that are part of our community as well. So again, just really important part of our economic activity here in the city. The jobs that we tracked, as I mentioned, we have in our contracts, we mandate per ordinance that we have minimum wages for various job classifications, everything from electricians to plumbers to heavy equipment operators. We tracked over 8,000 jobs just on the construction side of the house on all the projects that we currently have. I think at one point we had over 100 projects under construction. Again, significant economic activity. And these 8,000 jobs that are being supported, of course, they're spending money buying lunch during the work, paying their rents, bills, etc. It's really important to not lose track of that. Aside from us completing projects, it really is a big economic driver that we're producing for the community. The $137 million, when you look at the indirect and induced expenditures that come out of that, that's a total impact to the local economy of $220 million this past year alone. That's pretty significant. And then the jobs with the 8,000 and then the additional induced and indirect jobs. And these are jobs that the indirect and induced, if you will, are those jobs that are supported like for folks that provide like the concrete material. You have a driver in a truck, the people that work at the concrete plant, the materials shops that employ people that supply our jobs. All that's the indirect and induced jobs, and that we estimate that to be an additional 4,000 jobs. So 12,000 jobs total were supported by our capital program here in the city, just in this past year. Again, really significant from that aspect of it. We have 272 active contracts and subcontracts within our system. That means that 272 companies are being supported and are being have benefited from the capital program that the city has and that it's currently in place. And these are companies, again, that are a part of our community that have construction yards, that have shops, that have office spaces that are paying rent, that are paying taxes to our local economy. Again, it's just really important not to lose track of what we do for the city. Where we're at today, right now we have 328 projects that we're currently tracking. This at the end of this fiscal year. We've completed 62 projects. This past year, we have 76 under construction at the end of the fiscal year and 190 that are still in design in order the bidding process as we move ahead. I'm going to unshare real quick and reshare because there's a video that's coming and I want to make sure that you all get to hear the sound as well. So just bear with me 1 second if you don't mind. There. You have to click this one button in order for you all to hear the sound. Okay, so fiscal year 20 in review. Again, we're looking at 265 active projects. $670 million is still in the books for us. As you may have heard, in April, because of COVID, we did defer several projects. The rationale for deferring projects was this, is that City Council took action this past August to keep the tax rate flat, meaning that we didn't want to increase the tax rate at all. That meant that we were not going to borrow money this coming fiscal year, which we're currently in right now, fiscal year 21. And that means that as if I can back up a little bit, the way we roll out projects, in the public safety bond is a great example of that. The community approved $413 million to do public safety projects. The city's not going to go borrow $413 million right off the get-go to keep it in the bank. That's not the way you do it financially, financially adequate way, if you will. You end up borrowing money. It's a 10-year program, but you end up borrowing money when you anticipate that you need that money, if you will, which means that as we've been executing these programs, we contract them out. As I stated earlier, over the past 3 years, we contracted $471 million, but we didn't need $471 million back in 2018. We've been borrowing dollars over the past 3 years as well to keep up with the expenditures. This past year, we spent $138 million that what I share with you. That's the money that we ended up borrowing back in January of this year, as a matter of fact. So we borrowed $100 million to cover some of those expenditures that we had this fiscal year. So with the directive that we were not going to increase taxes in fiscal year 21, it meant that projects that were ready to go into construction in this coming fiscal year, we're not going to have the cash to be able to build them. And so those projects end up being deferred to future years. Right now we're projecting a 1 year delay to where we're going to be able to borrow money in fiscal year 22 that would start in August of next year. The other criteria also involve the operational cost, right? So specifically, for example, the Joey Barraza Park, where we're going to add a dog park and 3 flat fields. The parks, these flat fields are very expensive to operate because of the water costs that are associated with it and the cutting the grass and the maintenance. So that criteria as well was set up in a way that we were not going to build and construct facilities that we cannot afford to maintain right now, right? Because as you may have heard maybe through the meetings that you have with Representative Morgan, we've really cut back on the budget and our expected revenue because of COVID, and as a result of that, there's a lot of impact initially because of the financial, right now because of the health as well, but also on the financial side, if we're not capturing, we're projecting sales revenue to come in very low, and so a lot of what's been cut back, if you will, was going to be a lot of the quality of life projects. So there's a lot of discussions with council about keeping libraries open to the normal hours that the community is used to seeing, the recreation centers, the services that we offer to the community through the recreation centers. I think that's the piece that's gonna suffer when you end up with reduced revenues. And so if we're not able to operate and open facilities to the community that we've already have in place, things like the water park that we're going to open, why go build more right now when we know we cannot afford what we have right now? And that's the rationale as well that went into which projects ended up getting deferred until we're able to get a better understanding of the financial impact of COVID-19 and what that's going to have for our community. Hopefully I explained that a little bit better. It's a little bit complicated, but hopefully I said it as clearly as I could. The 63 projects that were completed in 2020 on the streets, because that's the priority as well. We heard loud and clear from the city council and the community that streets and public safety continue to be at the highest priority, and making sure that we continue to invest and make that as highest priority that we can. So we've on the street program here, what you see, we've completed 35 of the 65 roads. We have 24 in construction right now. And we did defer 7 projects out of this program, and again, until we're able to borrow additional dollars to get this program completed. Just to give you an idea of what we have, I mentioned we have over 170 active projects right now. 367, I'm sorry, projects that we managed this past year. These are all the projects that we have. It really looks at the whole community. We're really improving every single our city, and it's really important to note that. We have programs that include the quality of life, of course, the street program. We have the various capital plans that include projects like the lighting and landscaping that we're doing over on Railroad and in the Northeast. But we're also doing the federal program as well. So the landscaping job that was done on Sean Haggerty, that was funded through federal dollars through the state. That's also part of our program. We take advantage of community development block grants. Any opportunities that we can get to be able to invest in our community, we're definitely doing it, and you can see that reflected on this map. On the resurfacing side as well, you can pretty much I can tell you that most of not most of them, all of the roads that have been programmed to date, whether it's the $7 million resurfacing that we never had before, now we have it, has all been completed in the Northeast. I think they just got wrapped up with Sun Valley and Rushing that was a $3 million dedicated funding source that the City Council approved. For collector roads, that these were the first 2 roads that were included as part of that program. That's already been complete as well. Just a quick video, just to show. lot of great work. That's an investment that we're doing out there. Part of our next challenge is really going to come back down to our ability to borrow dollars and our ability to incorporate additional facilities and being able to operate these facilities with, having the dollars to operate them as we move forward. We've shared with council that we're committed to the public safety side, and you'll see some of the projects that we currently have underway based on the public safety bond program. Our street infrastructure, the $7 million for residential. We've part of the discussions that we've had here with council is that we've created a budget stabilization fund where we have to put some of that money into this fund to really help us make sure that we're ready as the COVID response continues and the federal dollars run out and the state funds run out. We've got to be able to continue to provide the services and the response to the community, and that's where that budget stabilization rate is going to be really important for us as a community and for council to be able to absorb those costs and really stay financially viable and sustainable in the long term. As I stated, we're not going to borrow dollars in fiscal year 21, as well as not build any facilities that are going to increase operational costs over the next year. And so that's the rationale behind it, and we're going to try to leverage as much of our local dollars with federal funds and the grant dollars that we're able to get. And then this is where we can really stretch. If you can spend $1 and get $10 worth of investment into our community, we're going to definitely pursue that. This past week, with Yvette Hernandez State Council, a presentation on the federal grant program, and we have a firm that's really working hard to try to capture as many grants and federal dollars that we can and bring those back to our community as we move forward. Within the CIP priorities, again, it's really going to come down to how much money we can borrow and when, really focusing on the public safety, the federal grants, as I stated. We also have contractual obligations out there as well that we need to meet, the streets and facility maintenance, and making sure that we don't lose facilities. So if we need to replace a roof, as an example, that we're able to accommodate that so that we don't lose the insides of the building itself, and then it becomes more costly later on to be able to upgrade or maintain. Within District 4, if you don't get the highlights, we send a monthly report out, and you can get that at our CID, Capital Improvement Department website. We have a monthly report that breaks it out by district, and you're able to see the projects and the progress that we're making. This CapCoin is pretty much ready to go. You saw some of the improvements in the video. What you don't see is the furniture. We didn't lay it out there already, just because it's not going to be used. We really look to create a resort style experience for our community. I think Camp Cohen is not being biased here, but it's really going to be one of the best ones. It's really the views to the mountains are really spectacular from this area, and it's going to be something that's going to be really, really neat. The cabanas that you have, we just have the roof out there, but there's curtains all on 3 sides, so you'll be able to have some privacy if you choose to take advantage of that service, as well as the food offerings as well. We're working very closely with a vendor that's going to give us some really great offerings. Again, just to create an experience like you would at any other resort hotel. And again, doing it at a way that the city is able to provide. I'm really excited about that project. Of course, Todd Ware Park, the sports field lighting, the student memorials, all beginning the construction process there, and then working very closely with the PISD and the planetarium as well. These are the list of active projects. The Dyer and Tiger Eye traffic signal. Right now, it's part of the 2020 capital plan. That's again, it's a project that's going to be deferred until we're able to borrow more dollars. That's one of the ones that was recently approved by City Council. The public safety bond, we've completed assessments at these fire stations that are within the Northeast. And once we go through these, we're going to start prioritizing based on the condition of the fire station facilities, so that we can start getting these remodels going on the existing fire stations as well. The grant, Joy Barraza and Vino does have a grant that we need to spend that we're going to move forward with, and I think we're targeting the dog park and the modular play structure. really deferring more the bigger flat fields to a later year. Again, the funds are there for Joy Barraza to construct it. The issue becomes once we take over those facilities, us and our ability to be able to operate and water the fields, that's really going to drive the decision moving forward. Paved trails is another one. This is part of the quality of life. We're looking at the El Paso Electric corridors throughout in the Northeast. There we're looking to create paved trails as part of the quality of life program. I think that's important for you all to know that we're going to continue to get all our permitting and to be able to get the entitlement, if you will, and agreements with El Paso Electric for us to be able to use their corridors for these trails and really tying them into the overall trail system that we have as a city. I think that's very important. So we're going to continue to do that and then put them on the shelf again until we're able to operate them in the near future. Railroad reconstruction as well. That design is already complete, and which is going to be deferred until we're able to borrow the dollars to be able to complete it. In the canopies, shade canopies, these facilities in the quality of life program are going to move into construction just to make sure that we're able to spend the dollars where we're not creating additional operational costs. Like canopies, those can move into construction without any issues at this point. We also have projects that are in bidding right now. So you've heard about our facilities in the COVID response. We have purchased a building now in Railroad, right in front of the 911 center. That budget is actually close to $15 million. This $500,000 was the original allocation to get the acquisition started, but the building cost us $5.4 million, and we're going to spend an additional about $9 million to get it improved. And this is going to help us respond, looking at the lab facility and expanded lab capabilities. The logistics center right now, the fire department, the health department have materials, things like PPE for first responders, things like testing equipment, testing supplies, all of that spread out throughout the community at various locations. This is really going to create a centralized location as a logistics center, because the warehouse capability there is going to be, we're going to have the capability to be able to get that, to get all the logistics facility there. And then also an additional clinic facility to be able to provide the area in the Northeast a place where folks can get vaccinated for COVID when that vaccine is available, and or tested, as well as flu shots as well. If you think of what we got going on with the city testing facilities, and of course the state has their testing facilities as well, I think at some point those facilities or the state at least is going to go away, and we need to make sure we work very closely with the fire department and the health department to make sure that we have the facilities and capabilities to continue to provide the services to the community after December 31st. It's a very aggressive schedule for us to get these facilities done. That's being done with the CARES federal dollars that the city received to respond to COVID-19. And those facilities, those funds do have a sunset date of December 31st to be able to spend and get those funds spent and get these facilities completed and operational. We're also working on sports field lightings for quality of life, as well as the student memorial that's funded by the CDBG. We do have projects under construction as well. We're still listing the water park. I think we're wrapping up the entrance area there in the new roadway. That's going to be the circulation road for the Coin Entertainment District. We do have the CDBG, the planetarium that's being completed, and then of course the quality of life neighborhood improvement program projects that are also underway. These are the projects that we've deferred initially. The Cohen site readiness, again, that's been deferred just because we're continuing to pursue a developer. If the developer comes on, we'll be able to work out a deal with them. This project can move into construction. The Joy Barraza and Vino, as I stated, again, we're looking to move forward with the dog park and the playground facility at this time, just so that we can get the grant dollars spent by the state, and then pushing out the big flat field component until a later year. The floodplain mitigation in Metro 31 is moving into construction as well. And in the fall, the ball field lighting replacements that have been outlined in the 2020 capital plan are also going to be deferred. The Veterans Rec Center remodel is going to move into construction. So this is needs to be updated. So that one's going to move into construction. And then the Wainwright and Northeast Basin Park is also going to be moving into construction, because those funds are sitting there and we need to spend those dollars so that they don't become old dollars in the bank. There was like 4 issues that we've been working in. Yeah, I'm not sure if we're going to touch on today, but I know we had a field meeting with my staff last week or a couple of weeks ago with a representative that looked at flags across America, as well as the street. The street is going to continue to be a priority for us. I think it's no secret that we're behind on our investment into the street infrastructure. The fact that the city council took action to dedicate $7 million to residential and $3 million to collector roads is a big first step for us as a community. We've never had that before, and now we have it. Even though it's been deferred, it's still a really important part of our continued efforts to address the conditions in our roadway system. So it's not, it's something that we can't hide away from as a community. We got to figure out what the long-term solution is. $7 million is not enough to keep up with the demand, but it's definitely a step in the right direction, and we're going to continue to have dialogues with council as we move forward. Railroad drive landscaping, I understand they went out there to look at that, and then of course the Redstone Rim land issues. We had a conference call with the property owner last week, so we have a plan to move that forward as well. That's what I have for you all this evening. I'll be happy to answer any questions or any issues that you may have. If I have an answer, I'll be happy to share that with you. If not, I'll be happy. If I don't have an answer, we'll definitely get that back to you through the representative's office.
All right, let's open it up for questions at this time. As you guys can see, and we've been telling you, Lindsay and I have been sharing with you guys for the last 3 years. We haven't been sitting on our thumbs. There's a lot going on, but sometimes seeing is believing. But the bottom line is we're getting the work done, and there's so many good things happening for the Northeast that have already happened, that are in the works, and the future of the Northeast is very bright. And I'm very proud of all the work. So thank you, Sam. That was a better brief than you give in City Council, son.
Hey, it's a little bit more relaxed atmosphere here, Representative. That's all I can tell you. And it's the second time around as well.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Anyone have a question for Sam?
Ms. Gardner has her hand up.
All right, Kim, go ahead.
Good evening, Sam. Nice to see you again. Kim Garner. I live in Redstone HOA. I met you when Joey Barraza Phase 2 started. So I'd love to know the updates regarding the Redstone Rim land issue, since I'm the one who brought that up. Because we know that there was an owner on both sets of the land, not just on that Redstone Rim, but on the Whitehall Redstone Mesa, which was the original plan for the parking lot for the dog park. And so there's some discrepancy to find out who owns those two things of land, because as the HOA, I'm a secretary, we cannot use HOA funds to clean those areas. So that's number one. And then number two is there, Mr. Gonzalez, city manager, actually came out 2 weeks ago and looked at the park regarding security, because we're having a lot of issues in Phase 1 right now with no security cameras at all. Mr. Morgan and his staff is very well aware, as well as the Northeast Regional Command. They hear from a lot of us because we back up against the entire park. So I have questions on if we could get the cameras in just Phase 1, it would greatly deter. Even though, COVID is out, we have a lot of issues going on with homeless, climbing over neighbors' fences, drug use, speeding, daredevils running motorcycles all the way up till midnight. And then the Phase 2 that you guys are getting ready to start with, the Texas Parks and Wildlife Grant for the dog park and the play structure. I believe y'all are starting to move dirt, it looks like, and where it's going to be the play structure. I was out on the park today and I noticed that big mounds have been moved. So that looks promising to get that started. And I would like to hopefully be, as a representative, all my neighbors come to me. So they wanted to know, because they all phase their homes to the back of the what's going to be Phase 2. So I definitely would like to speak with you offline. And Sam knows how involved I am in that part of the neighborhood. And I have a lot of respect for Dr. Morgan and his staff. They've been awesome. I know I'm long-winded, but there's a lot of, I've been following this thing. I speak with Joey's mom daily, Miss Tammy, and so she's out here at the park daily as well. And so our goal is if when the dog park is complete, Vino has been retired. That was Joey's drug sniffing dog. And our goal is to get Vino out there for the ribbon cutting.
That'd be awesome. So a couple of, just to address two questions. So the HOA, there are issues with the title.
Yes, sir.
So we've been working on this for a couple of years. And so, the original discussions that we had with the property owner, and I'm not sure if it's the same one where we started, but the rationale was that we would be, they've been paying taxes on it, on the property. And so the request was, can we donate the land to the city so that we're not paying taxes on it, make it part of the park? It's been designed already as part of the project, that
Yes,
property
sir.
there. So, but the tune had changed as of last week,
Okay.
where, as I understand, the property owner wanted to get paid for it. And that's what we had the conference call, because I wanted to make sure that we're on the same page.
Okay.
Because you got to look at expenditures by the city have to have
Absolutely.
a public purpose. And
Okay.
so, that property we don't need for the park. So there'll be there's no way for me to make a recommendation to council to pay for the land because we don't need it for the park, if that makes sense.
The
However,
one that was going to be the parking lot,
no, not that one. This
the
is the
small
one.
piece of land that goes against the park already built. Okay, so
Yeah.
how do we, I know
So
offline, how do
Let me
we,
just wrap up the story real quick. So I did have a conversation with the property owner, and her name is slipping my mind. I apologize.
that's
But
okay.
we did have a conversation last Friday where we talked through, and I told her, I made it very clear that if she's going to expect payment for that land, then we can't move forward with the acquisition because there's no public purpose for it. We don't need it for the park. We were working together with the property owner because it made sense that it's the land is sitting there.
Mhm.
If we can make it part of the park, great. I think it's a great win-win for us as a city, but then also for the property owner. So she's on board now. She
Okay,
still not get paid, so we're going to work through the title issues.
okay,
There has to be an HOA action as well. So we have
Okay.
to work. They're working out the process with the attorneys as to what needs to happen.
okay,
100% on the other piece, Ms. Gardner. So I'm going to have to come back to you on that one. That's the
okay,
one I touched on last week. And then as far as the cameras, they've been included as part of the project, as you
Yes.
know, for the design.
Yes.
So yeah, we're repackaging. I'm not sure who's moving dirt. It's not the project yet,
okay,
but maybe Parks and Rec is getting ready for it. But we don't have a contractor for that yet. We're repackaging it because the way it was designed, it was a single project. We have to repackage it in a way that allows us to bid only the components that I mentioned earlier.
which we're very excited about, which will help with the crime behind the homes right there, because the play structure literally is behind 9 homes, literally 9 homes across from my house. And so that will ease some stuff, because hopefully we can get some security cameras going on around those, so there's no defacing of the children's play area for all abilities or in the dog park, since we have, we work closely with the regional command, but they just aren't coming out like we need them to, because we've got so many kids out of school and the college kids, and they're creating a lot of crime out here, Mr. Rodriguez.
Yeah, I understand.
So, but I thank you for working hard, and that's just one little teeny piece of land that this landowner has never stepped up, and it's actually a floodplain.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm sorry, this is Camilo speaking. I went out there actually on that tour with city manager Gonzalez and Rhett Morgan.
Yes.
It's really, really complicated. There's like all sorts of covenants and all sorts of stuff going on out there too. So it's not just like a little piece of land. There's a whole bunch of things that play into it as well.
Yes, I'd love to be included in that with my president and my HOA, which is associate, because we've been working on this. We get calls every day regarding this from our neighborhood. We have over 100 homes in our neighborhood, and Dr. Morgan knows that I've been working on this forever, just to provide safety, because but I would love to be able to, if possible, to sit in on these discussions just so I can take notes and represent my neighborhood at the best of my ability for the Northeast.
You got it.
Yeah, we can definitely look into that, Kim. Not a problem.
Okay. All right. And then I'm sorry.
We're transparent. Okay.
And then that other piece of land, Mr. Rodriguez, is it was for phase 1 was going to be the parking lot to the dog park. Are you guys working on that one as well?
Yes, but I don't have the details.
That's okay. I just want to know that it's in the process.
Yeah.
Thank you. Sorry to take so much time.
No,
Thank
no
you.
worries.
Hey, thank you for the question, Kim. They're great questions, and I understand your concern. We've been working on most of this for my entire 3-year tenure, so we got the right people on it. Sam is definitely the right person, and you heard Camilo. You know, they were all out on the tour, and we'll work on making sure that we let you know the next time we come out.
Sam actually came out and met with me personally on a really hot day to scope out everything after the park phase 2 had been initiated. So he and I became a one-on-one. He drove out in his own personal vehicle and walked the park.
And it was very hot. And you guys know black attracts heat.
Anyways, thank you, Mr. Rodriguez, for the wonderful feedback. I will relay that to the HOA.
You're welcome.
All right. Are there any other questions? Sam, that was some really, really good info. I wish I had a way to put this presentation in front of every person in the Northeast so they can see just how much work has happened in only 3 years, guys. And like I told you all, not tooting my horn, but I hired the best staff that the city has. We all care. And, you know, I didn't come in here for titles. I came in here to get things done. I live in the Northeast, and I was frustrated. And the only way to get things done sometime is from the inside. You know, it's one thing to be on the outside looking in and thinking you know everything. It's another thing to actually move from the outside into the building and, you know, wonder where the exit is and they lock all the doors behind you. But we're getting it done. And Sam, thank you so much. That was a wonderful brief. There's a lot of stuff going, and we got a lot more coming, guys. So, Sam, if you've got to go somewhere, go ahead. I just got a couple things to tie up with these folks. Unless anyone has any more questions for him, Mr. Rodriguez, thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
As usual. Thank you, my friend. Okay, guys. Let me go ahead and close out a couple things. Debbie, is Miss Torres still online? Debbie Torres? Okay, if she's not.
I'm here.
Okay. Hey, Debbie, obviously we know tonight is the last night. At midnight, the census closes. So if you want to say anything, I do have the website and the phone number. But if you want to say anything about the census, this is it, guys. It's over with after this. It's going to impact our entire community for the next 10 years. So go ahead, Debbie.
So as Sam mentioned, yes, today is the last day at, I believe, 11:59 p.m. This is it. Everything from what I've received, everything is shutting down at that time. I'm looking here at my notes. Self-response will be available across the nation through 11:59 p.m. on today, and so will phone response. And so everything is over. And so if there is anyone that you know of who has not completed the census, now would be the time to let them know. Posting it on your social media would be great, because this is really important. I don't think a lot of people understand. I didn't really understand myself when I got involved how important completing the census is, besides the fact that we're required by law to do it. So it will make a huge difference in our community. So, if you all know of anybody who hasn't done it, if you want to take the time to post it on social media, please do so. And that's it. That's all I have.
All right, Debbie, I thank you for that. Okay, for those of you that like to take notes, if you're going to post this on social media, just let them know tonight at 11:59 is the deadline, and the website, because you can do this online. You don't have to be in anyone's presence. So the website is my2020 my2020 census census.gov. Okay, that's the website. If they want to call it in, the phone number is 844-330-2020. So this is it. And the census determines how much federal money our community gets for roads and streets and bridges and all of the infrastructure that a city our size and growing needs. And it also determines whether or not you're going to be living in the Northeast or in Central. Okay, because a lot of people that live in Central think that they live in the Northeast, but the Northeast southern boundary is Hondo Pass. In the good old days, it used to be Fred Wilson. But the census is how they determine who lives where, how many is there, age, ethnicity, all the demographics that they use. So if we don't do the census and we don't do it properly, we could literally see, I'm going to be honest with you, that let's just say Trans Mountain might be the new our southern boundary, and everything from Trans Mountain all the way back to Fred Wilson will be central. We saw it happen before. We don't want it to happen again. And you guys know I'm a proponent of fair mapping, and I've sponsored it. And for 2 years in a row, I've provided proclamations to make sure that we don't have our lines redistrict so it's advantageous for certain types of politicians at the federal level. That's wrong, guys, and you know it. Okay? So with that being said, the census is absolutely critical. And the last thing is, I don't know if you guys noticed, but this week, that Newman 6 power plant where everyone's talking about the updates, City Council voted unanimously not to support that operation, because the electric company says that they need to be capable of generating $18.6 million more revenue. In order to do that, they want to upgrade their facility. I don't have a problem with the upgrade, but it's about a $1.43 increase to the taxpayers in this community. Okay? A lot of people might not think $1.43 is a lot, but when you look at how many people are in El Paso, we have almost 1 million people here. Okay, that's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. And we voted against it. So they're still going to be able to move forward with their application, but they don't have the city's support because it's going to increase the ratepayers' amount of money that they got to pay, and it'll add up. So I just want you guys to know that we voted against that, okay? All right. With that being said, we're at 1 hour, 15 minutes. Is there anything else that you guys would like to say? Oh, well, hold up. Early voting. Tell everybody to get out there and vote, guys. Vote like your life depended on it, because it does. This is some great. Hey, we need Julie's husband to come out there and pull security, because we need those dogs. There are people getting squirrely out in the parking lot and fighting with election judges and challenging the distant markers and stepping out into the street to stop cars so they can handle. Yeah. You guys voted? Roger that, brother. Roger. Thank you. But they're doing some really crazy things. So when you go out there, just so you guys know, because I had families call me that were too afraid to go vote. I'm not kidding you. And I had to reassure them that the city had, that PD has a security plan in place, stepped up patrols, officers walking around with civilian clothes on. And I mean, I had to reassure entire families that they were going to be okay. Something's wrong with this, guys. I've never heard of anyone afraid to go vote in the United States of America. I served my country in countries that people would not go vote because they didn't want to die. And we have people in El Paso that think they're going to be harmed if they go vote. And I had to reassure them and talk with the police department to make sure that they do have contingency. And I assure all of you, there's a major contingency in place, and there's a really big contingency in place for the 3rd. Believe that. Okay? So let people know that it's safe to go vote, please. Kim, I see your face, but it's scary right now. People are scared.
I'm right there with you. I mean, I've been voting since I was 18, and, Nick went to vote and he standed in line. I unfortunately cannot go right now because my gym let me know that someone in my class tested positive. So I get to go get a test tomorrow at Tobin's because I can't get into anywhere else. So I'm quarantined at my house until I get the results.
You could go to the airport. You don't need an appointment, and they have a site out there. I can get that. I can get that to you tonight.
Can you text that to me? Can we talk offline for if I shoot you through District 4 email?
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, I wanted to go vote today, but I'm doing the responsible thing.
Good for you.
So no signs right now, but checking my temperature and everything by the hour.
Well, and I'm glad you did that because I just got an email from a very good friend of mine. I don't know if any of you know, he's a bishop here in town.
Bishop Seitz?
No, Bishop Harris Johnson from I've got it right here on my book. His church is Praise Temple Church. Well, anyhow, he lost his battle with COVID and he passed away today.
Oh, no.
This stuff is real, guys. This is real. I don't know. He lost his, he lost.
I just got chills.
This is what they wrote to me. They said, as you all may have heard by now, from amongst our ranks, Bishop Harris Johnson has gone from labor to reward. He fought the good fight of faith and finished his race. He was a great pastor / preacher and friend to all of us, and he shall be missed. Let's keep his wife, children, grandchildren, and Praise Temple Church and the entire Johnson / Milner family in our prayers. And I got that from Pastor Earl B. Payton. I got that at 4:39 this evening. So this stuff is real, guys. So Kim, thank you for doing the responsible thing. Go ahead.
What's the plan for, for example, in Kim's case right here, you test positive, you're quarantined, it's already late to get the ballot in or anything like a mail-in ballot. What's the plan to do that? I mean, I know they had over here in the Northeast, we went and voted at the Pasadena site.
Okay.
Yeah, they had drive-up voting and all that. Is there something in plan for that? Is there something that's contingency for it, just to try and get people to get out and vote?
She can do the drive-up voting just like you just said. So that you can literally drive up. Whoever's with you can go in and say, I have someone that needs to vote. They're incapacitated, or they're disabled, or they're under quarantine, and you can go ahead and do that. What they'll do is a provisional ballot for you. Your vote will count, but you won't be able to use the machines. They'll bring it out on a clipboard, and I've seen that happen the last couple of days. Or you can hold out and wait until the 3rd, because that'll be outside of your 14-day window.
Yeah. So far, no stuff, but it's just, I'm healthy 47-year-old. And when I got the call, it freaked me out like crazy that someone in my little gym area, but at least we were told.
Of course.
You know.
But please take care of yourself, because like I just shared with y'all at the beginning, I have a family member who's battling COVID right now. She's too young to be going through this, and she is really probably not going to make it. She has MS. She has,
she's got
asthma. She's got high blood pressure, and she's just too young for that, and she's overweight. So, hey guys, we got to be on another meeting at 6:30. So much love to each and every one of you. God bless you. And we'll have your favorite person back next week.
Okay, Sam, I'll shoot you an email for the details that you were going to send to me.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. Everybody, it was great to see everybody. I like seeing everybody.
Everybody take care. Bye-bye.
Yes, stay safe. Okay, bye-bye.